So is your squash looking like this or this? Or are they looking more like this and this? If they're looking like this, then you definitely have to watch today's video, because I'm going to show you how to take care of this once and for all and have a great harvest of any type of squash you want. Hey, I'm Brian with California Garden TV, and if you're looking to join an online gardening community that offers tips, tricks, and support to help you grow your best garden ever, then you're in the right place. Start now by hitting subscribe and clicking the bell icon so you never miss anything. Now let's get growing. It used to be just a few years ago that you could plant one zucchini squash plant and have enough for your family. Over the last few years, though, I have been getting a lot more of this rotting on the vine incident. And the main reason for this is because the plants aren't getting pollinated. And there are fewer and fewer pollinators every year. Now, I've done a big step in my garden this year by adding lots more plants and flowers to attract the pollinators, but still, they are needing some help from us. Now, this is a really simple solution. And it's actually how I taught Noah about the birds and the bees. It is. But it worked really well. Squash are really easy this way because squash have two types of flowers. They have male flowers and they have female flowers. And you need both to be able to make a baby squash. Now, the male flowers typically come on first. And if they don't, then they will be along shortly. And if there are no male flowers when you have female flowers, you're going to get this at first, but it will fix itself. So the difference between a male flower and a female flower are the male flower is just a flower on a stem, and the female flower is a flower on a miniature whatever you're growing. So a miniature little squash with a flower on the end. That's the female. When the female is not pollinated, the flower falls off and the little baby squash starts to shrivel up and die, and then it will eventually fall off. So if there are male flowers and female flowers present, you may need to jump in a little bit to help the situation. And what you're going to need to do, especially on zucchinis and squash and melons that have big fruits, the flowers are big and they're really easy to manage. So you want to find a male flower and pick it off. And you're going to take off all the petals just to make the pollen easier to get to. And you're most likely going to see pollen in the throat of the flower, so you'll know it's ready. So once you have that taken care of, you're going to go to all of the female flowers of the same type. And we're going to take that male flower and the pollen, and we are going, now this one here is possibly a little bit past. It probably should have been pollinated yesterday, but we're going to give it a shot. So we're going to take the petals, open them up, and expose the female part, and basically just rub the pollen all over that part, and that's it. Within a couple of days, you're probably going to notice that it's successful, because the squash, instead of looking like this, it will start to grow and mature. Now, the only difficult part about this is just the vigilance. Just like, the one I just showed you, it probably should have been pollinated yesterday, and it may or may not work because the female part was a little bit starting to shrivel. It should look nice, fresh, and bright. So as long as you come out every day or two, you're going to catch them. And there should be plenty of male flowers and female flowers once the season progresses. Now, one thing to make this a little bit easier, which is another thing I did this year, is I planted 3 or 4 of the same variety. So I only have 2 varieties, whereas last year I grew 4 varieties, 1 plant each. This year I just chose my favorite 2, and I planted 3 or 4 of each one. 2 is good, 3, 4 if you have the room is even better, because you're always going to make sure that you have those for the bees and any other pollinators that come by, or you to use yourself. Now, one quick note, this way works for all cucurbits, melons, cucumbers, all the different types of squashes, but plants like cucumbers have smaller flowers, and so it's not as easy because the smaller flowers, they're going to have small male parts. They just are. So instead of actually taking the petals off and dabbing the male part on the female part, we're going to take a really small paintbrush. Now, these cucumbers here, they are all male so far. They just started blooming, so there are no females to pollinate yet. But just to show you, we're going to find a male flower and take a small paintbrush and rub the inside of the male flower to get the pollen onto the brush. Then you would go to a female flower and use that brush and just rub the female part. That's pretty much all there is to it. I'd love to say there was more and give you more steps, but it's really easy. It's super easy. So get out there in your garden today, look for the males and females, and get them together. I'll see you guys on Sunday.